Live from the 607 is the ODPH Entertainment Edition, where we're talking movies, comics, TV, and more. Why don't you join in the conversation? Hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I am your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, it's Padawan J.
Hello there.
Folks, we have a lot to discuss, so let's waste no more time, shall we? OchoDuroParlayHour.com is the place you want to go to join in the conversation on social media. It has links to our Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, everything you need, ODPH. So join in and use the hashtag ODPH because we want to talk with you. We have a lot to discuss, a lot this week.
Yep.
Kicking off the biggest story in entertainment, though, has to be the second Joker trailer and the press coming out of the film festivals.
Yep.
The early reviews are coming in
glowing.
I don't think a comic book character has had this much buzz around it in a movie since Logan.
Yeah.
Because people are talking Oscar performance from Joaquin Phoenix. And this is just really generating a ton of buzz because at first when we heard about this movie, didn't really know what to expect.
Right, because as it came out, they're like, all right, they're doing a Joker movie. Okay, interesting. You know, who's going to play it? Is it going to be Jared Leto? No, it's not going to be Jared Leto. It's going to be Joaquin Phoenix. Okay, nothing against Joaquin Phoenix, but it's not the guy we just saw as Joker a couple of years ago in Suicide Squad, so how are we going to do this? Oh, well, it's going to be without Batman. Wait a minute, anyone who knows Joker's history knows Batman is very integral to Joker's origin story and kind of how he becomes what he becomes. And then there were some stories out about script rewrites and this and that, and then you get, like you said, the screenings they did at a film festival over the weekend, and you have people talking Oscar buzz, much in the same vein they did for Logan, but not just because of how good Joaquin Phoenix is in the movie, but just how, you know, redefining it is for a comic book movie.
Absolutely. When we first heard about this, like I said, a lot of speculation because obviously the DC film universe has been messy to put it lightly. However, it's been on the rebound, though.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was a fantastic movie. Shazam, Aquaman, they've been coming around. So obviously, if they're trying to do the whole shared universe, they're showing signs that they're stepping in the right direction. But when we heard about this Joker movie, we were like, where is this going to fit in? Right,
and especially when they announced, Todd Phillips is going to be the director, which, you know, if the name doesn't sound familiar, you go to his IMDb page. Of course, you go to anybody's IMDb page, it gives you 4 things that they're best known for. He's best known for being a producer on Due Date, which was the Zach Galifianakis, Robert Downey Jr. film about the guy whose wife was in labor and he was across the country. Old School.
Yes, one of the best movies.
And then he was a producer on The Hangover and Hangover Part 3. So, like, the man is known for comedies, and you got him coming in doing a serious R-rated Joker movie.
Right, which obviously dealing with the character, and without question, you have to say he's Batman's greatest foe.
Yeah.
You have to say it.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic villains in comic book, dare I say, pop culture history.
Yeah, he's up there.
He has to be in the conversation, if not number one. To deal with the subject matter that entitles him and what you want to try presenting with a story, this is a tough challenge.
Right, because it's not like some of Batman's others where you've got Two-Face who it's split personalities, and then, you know, the other villains and their other things they have going on. Joker is on just such this other level where it's like it's multiple things rolled into one, and he just doesn't give a you-know-what.
Right, he's just pure insanity walking.
Yeah.
And he's a force of nature that you can't figure out, can't control. He is who he is, and it's just complete insanity.
Right, and I mean, I know it's a different movie and a different actor, but you think back to The Dark Knight where Heath Ledger's Joker lit a giant stack of money on fire and laughed. Okay, yeah, that's in The Dark Knight. It's a different actor, different movie. I can very easily see the Joker doing that in the comics.
Oh, absolutely. The Joker is just based on whatever mood he wakes up in that day.
Yeah.
And obviously in the comics side of things, they are going to start delving into it. I know there's the 3 Jokers Black Label book that's coming out at some point. I don't have the latest information on that. But dealing with the Joker, obviously historic character.
Yeah.
From when Jack Nicholson brought him to life in Batman 89.
I mean, even Cesar Romero way back when in the Adam West TV series.
Exactly. And Mark Hamill on the animated series.
Yeah.
To where you had Heath Ledger really define the role and really, I want to say, raise the stock in it, so to speak, or modernize it for the time period. because at that point, the Joker had always been kind of the fun, campy, over-the-top character.
Right, the guy that like he walks on screen, be it a movie or television show, and you go, oh, this is going to be good. What's he going to do now? You know, what kind of funny antics is he going to get into now? Whereas Heath Ledger played him, he walked on screen and the hair stood up on the back of your neck because, oh God, what is he going to do now?
So disturbing, and everything that he brought to that character and just brought the pure just descent into madness to the screen, and just how well he did it. Phenomenal job. I mean, obviously it was a Oscar-worthy performance, and he did win, obviously, after his passing. So now we've gone through the Jared Leto version, which had very mixed reviews.
Yeah.
So when Joaquin Phoenix was attached to the role, we're kind of saying, okay, what is he going to bring to this role? And I've heard that he's dropped 52 pounds, I believe, for this role.
I'd heard something like that, which makes sense because it's been in a couple of the like short TV spots and in the trailers where there's that shot of him in like an apartment or a bathroom. So I think it's like a bathroom apartment or something where he doesn't have a shirt on and he's like contorting or stretching his arms, like, oh, I'm stiff, stretching his arms. And you look at the rib cage specifically, I realize I'm no nutritionist, I'm no doctor, I have no medical training. That does not look like a healthy person.
No, definitely not. And where he's going with it, I know the method acting that he's using for this is really, on the trailers that we've seen, it just really demonstrates how he's showing the breakdown of the man and not glamorizing it by any means.
No.
But just really showing tones of Alan Moore's The Killing Joke.
Yeah, I mean, because you get from the trailers that, like, everyone in life goes through their rough spots where, like, things are at their absolute worst, but, you know, there's always that upswing. Things will always get better, you know, things will improve. From the trailers, it looks like this man just continually keeps getting kicked down, and the instant he thinks about picking himself back up and standing back up, you know, somebody comes along and kicks him down a little further.
Right. So as we're going to go into the second trailer breakdown, because the second trailer came out right after the reviews started breaking out, and we heard about it with, I believe, it was the Venice Film Festival, 8-minute standing ovation, which is insane.
Wild.
Yeah, it's wild. But as we saw the second trailer, there's a little more information that came out. So if you haven't seen the trailer, we are going to start talking spoilers about it in 3, 2, 1. Pad, what did you think?
My skin is crawling. Like, genuinely, like, there's just something about this film that it descends what Joker is and what I'm used to seeing him as, that, you know, it feels like we are going to watch a man's, you know, however long this film ends up being, you know, if it's like 2 hours and change, you know, like however long it ends up being, just slow descent into madness. Because, you know, there's the shot of him smiling, and we get a shot in this trailer of he's riding on a bus and there's a little boy looking back at him, and he tries making the boy laugh, and he does, you know, he does the thing where he has one expression on his face, he covers his face, and he pops back out and it's smiling, and he makes the kid laugh, and, you know, and just you see it descend further and further. Like, he's just trying to make his way in the world and achieve his dreams, but every corner he just gets kicked down.
Yeah, as they open with the trailer, he's on a bus and he's trying to make a little boy laugh, and the mother just turns around at one point and says, "Would you stop talking to my son?"
Or like, "Stop harassing my son."
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, how is he harassing the kid? He's making him laugh.
Right. And as it progresses further, Joaquin Phoenix has developed a very unique Joker laugh.
Yeah.
Which is
very creepy.
Very, very creepy.
Yeah.
To say the least. So they show a quick shot of him just laughing and then just putting his like normal face back on, which is so weird to see the flip of the switch like that.
Right. And from what we can tell in the trailer, he's already getting some form of, like, something's already gone on, and he's already getting some form of help because he's seeing a therapist. And he, you know, he's sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he's talking with the therapist, and he's essentially going, what good are you doing? Like, I come here every week and you ask the same questions. How's your job? Are you having any depressing thoughts? And we see the shot again of him working on a street for a business that looks to be going out of business because he has a sign that says everything must go, and the people come up and smack it out of his hands and then hit him back of the head with it in an alley. Yeah,
we see the psychiatrist, who we believe is at Arkham at this stage, or the Arkham State Hospital, I think it says in the trailer. I don't think they fully say Arkham Asylum. It says this is the last time we're meeting, and Joker's reaction is just very calm and very like, what have you haven't done? You haven't done nothing for me.
Right.
And then they go to show where Robert De Niro's character, who is playing a late night talk show host type.
Whose name is Murray Franklin, according to IMDb.
Right. Is on the TV, and it looks like Arthur Fleck, who that is Joaquin Phoenix's character's name.
Yep.
is in a hospital with, I want to say it's his mother.
It's somebody close to him because it's like you said, it's a hospital scene. They are, they have a breathing mask over them. They are not awake, and he's sitting there watching the TV. And this looks very much in the same vein of like, your Jimmy Fallon's, your Jimmy Kimmel's, your Stephen Colbert, where it's like a late night talk show that was taped earlier in the day because he's taught, Robert De Niro's talking, and then Arthur Fleck comes on screen and he stands up all eager and excited, like, oh, I'm getting my big moment.
Yes, and what happens? De Niro buries him.
Oh yeah, because he starts out like, we don't know where this is. This could be cut up from like his entire. Like, I get the feeling just with how the tone of this movie is shaping up that this isn't the first joke he's telling. That this is maybe some point, maybe a few jokes in, and that like it's just falling flat on its face like a lead balloon. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Oh, people always tell me I'd never be a comedian, but here I am sitting up here making, I forget what the exact line is, but
I'm sitting up here, I'm making people laugh." And De Niro goes, "Well, you haven't started yet."
Yeah, he just buries him.
Yeah, you just see the reaction just flex. The air lets out of the balloon, so to speak. And at that moment, you can start seeing that everything is now built up. He finally thought he has a big break, and now it just goes out the window. And basically everything bad that could happen to him is happening.
Yeah.
And then they kind of flash forward to the infamous subway scene where you see there is like a riot on that bus.
Yeah.
That we don't know the details of what's causing it.
No.
The only thing we can guess at is because throughout the trailer, it does look like that there is an event held by Thomas Wayne. That we have got confirmation that Thomas Wayne is in this film.
Yeah, according to IMDb, Thomas Wayne is in this film, and he's being played by a gentleman named Brett Cullen.
Right. So at this stage, you're seeing there are people wearing Joker masks that we don't know the details why. We don't know what exactly has inspired them to be wearing that. But we see that at this stage on the subway, Fleck is in his Joker face paint and suit.
Yep.
So we have to imagine that this is set later in the film, very much later. And as we're seeing throughout the film, and then I touched upon it just a little bit, that he's having issues with Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
That he's on the TV, and I don't really know the story behind it yet.
No.
Obviously, we don't. It's just been kind of little things that you've seen that Thomas Wayne is being portrayed as the antagonist, at least through Joaquin Phoenix's eyes. So that being said, they do fast forward a little bit in the film, and you see Thomas Wayne saying, "What's so funny?" when Fleck is standing in front of him,
right?
And Thomas Wayne actually punches him.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's causing that,
right? And there's also the scene, a shot before it, where it's kind of some quick shots, and there's a scene where Joaquin Phoenix is sitting there painting his face with a decent sized paintbrush, not a huge one, and he's painting his face white, and he takes a bit of the paintbrush and he licks on the paintbrush in his mouth with paint on it, which I remember when I was a kid, Mom always told me, don't eat paint.
Yeah, don't eat paint chips. So you can just obviously see at this stage the full descent is happening into madness, and where he kind of steps up, and he's almost having that, like, I almost want to say it's like a Singing in the Rain moment.
Yeah, no, it might be a callback to Singing in the Rain, because he's going down a set of steps, and the light poles look very much like, if you go look up that clip from Singing in the Rain, like that, and he's dancing, and he kicks a little bit of water out of a puddle into the air, and he's happy as can be. Yeah,
it's just like all of a sudden he's like fully transformed into Joker, and now it's just the world is at his fingertips.
Yep.
So as they kind of flash forward to, they do show him in a comedy club.
Yeah, a comedy club with a woman there, actress by the name of Zazie Beetz, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Playing a character named Sophie Dumond, who we see in a clip earlier or a brief second earlier in the trailer, where she's holding a package or something, and she talks to him, and I think they end up making out or something.
Yeah, which we know her as Domino from the Deadpool movies, and she was on Atlanta as well, so she's a great actress too. So as you see, they're kind of having a romance of some sort, we think, is going on.
Yep.
That she's his only supporter, that
we
can tell.
Yeah, I mean, he's at a comedy club, which, I mean, if we're to go based off of the clip from the late night TV show, his jokes aren't all that funny.
No.
And he's at this comedy club trying to make his way in the world, and she smiles or laughs or something, and he looks, he goes, oh, she cares.
Yeah. So as they kind of fast forward to, he's seeing faces on, dare I say, it's like bulletins and flyers of the clown face, and he's kind of imitating it. And he's also seeing people wearing the masks in the city.
Right, and if there's an interesting shot, if you go to you find it on YouTube about a minute and a half in, where it looks like it's almost the front page of a newspaper, almost like a New York Post, New York Daily News type thing. And you can't read the top of it, but it is a very creepy, I almost want to call it like It from the It movies, looking clown. And it says, latest on the murders, page 2. Which, given who's in this movie, I wonder what murders they could be talking about.
Right, because at this stage, like I say, a lot is up in the air of what is really going on.
Right.
And the only thing we know is that you're seeing characters in the movie wearing the Joker mask, and he's smiling like he is the cause of this. Like when I first saw this, I kind of had like this was like the inspiration of like Mr. Robot has, you know, like on certain groups, or even Fight Club. That was the kind of vibe I got from this, and I'm going, okay, I'm not sure how he's causing this,
right?
But he's definitely doing something, because they keep flashing back to an event where you're seeing people in Joker masks fighting with police,
right? And I mean, there's a shot outside of like an art museum or some type of museum, and on the front of it it says Wayne Hall, which, hey, another connection. And there's two banners on the front of it. One, the left side says Charlie Chaplin, and then on the other banner on the right it says Modern Times. But there are police on horseback, you know, riding behind this crowd that all got signs. I mean, there's one poster facing backwards that is of a very creepy looking Joker, and people are not happy and trying to break through this barricade with whatever the heck is going. Like, Gotham is in full blown descent into madness, I think, at this point, because, sorry, Charlie Chaplin to me ain't exactly a riot-worthy event. You know, for those of you who may not know who he was one of, if not the most famous silent film actors of his time. You may know the face, you may not know the name, but like, you know, somebody tries hopping a barricade in this thing, and the police shoves him back, and the person pulls the police back over, and they start beating him up.
Yeah, so at this stage, the Joker's plan, so to speak, is in full effect. And it's kind of weird to see that it's happening, but as you can see throughout the trailer, though, they keep flashing back to his time when he's in Arkham. He's finally having a breakdown. Yeah. And you can see when he's finally putting his, dare I say, game face on, that he's just watching his work happen. He's just so calm and smoking, because I mean, at this time it's set in the the early 80s, late 70s time period.
I'd say late 70s, just based off, there's a shot in the trance T-boning a police car, and just looking how the police car looks, it looks like that mid to late 70s style.
It could be, like I said, we don't really have the time period, otherwise it just is a prequel to current time. That's the only thing we can really tell you about that. But as we're seeing, the Joker's just demeanor and just watching the city burn, so to speak, and he's just very relaxed throughout. I mean, even when they keep showing the subway scene. Yeah. And I said that one is just the one you hear a lot about. I mean, there's a lot breaking out about the studios and just stories breaking out about that, which you can research as you need to. And then the final scene in the trailer, though, you see Joker backstage on Murray's talk show.
Yeah, which I can't imagine how he got back on there. You know, if we presume that his last appearance as Arthur Fleck didn't go so well, why they would introduce the guy again?
Right, unless it's something weird. But as he's sitting there, he goes, "Hey, Murray, do me a favor. Can you call me Joker?"
Yeah, he goes, "When you go to introduce me, can you interview me as the Joker?" And De Niro just looks at the guy standing next to him and just goes, "Huh?"
Yeah. And then they kind of show the full descent into madness, where he's kind of just dancing around, and you just see the range he's going through. Yeah, you see the calm demeanor, and then you see just the manic, frantic action that he's taking. He's banging his head into the dumpster, and you just really kind of see just the full breakdown and just how one person just descends there. I
mean, the city just looks to be an utter anarchy, because there's another shot where he's walking away in the I want to call it an homage to Cesar Romero, the old style suit, with his paint on, and he's smoking a cigarette, and cops are running the other way with like walkie-talkies and batons in hand. Then you get another shot outside of a movie theater where people are running towards the camera, and cops are running away from the camera. And there's a person holding like a tear gas canister or smoke grenade, something, like spewing smoke out of it. And they're in full-blown Joker masks. It's just like the city is just at a breaking point.
Right. And then as the final shot goes, you see him ready to get on stage at Murray's talk show, and you hear the music Send in the Clowns, and you see him start to do his dance, and just overall the packaging of how this trailer is definitely not a superhero movie. No. And I want to make sure that point is getting very clarified. As a regular movie, in just involving script and characters, this looks phenomenal. Like, this makes my skin crawl a little bit, of just how you see a one person just break down into madness, and just the ramifications that one person could have like that. Yeah. But as far as a superhero Batman Joker comic movie, no, this isn't doing anything for me. And I really want to stress that this is only in name only ties to the DCU. Right. That you're not going to see Batman appear. Right. Unless they do like a flash forward sequence at the end. But I highly doubt that.
No, the couple things I've read out of folks who were able to see the film over the weekend at the film festival said that the only, this is a rare instance that the only mention of DC in this film is once you get to the credits and you see the logo. Outside that, there's no mention. Like, you could straight up just bring a person into this film if they had no idea what the heck it was, and they just think it's some crazy movie somebody came up with in their head.
Yeah, because I think the only tie-in, like my unofficial ODPH guess about this is, you know how in The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger was giving 3 different stories of how he got those scars?
Yes.
This is one of those stories.
Oh, that could be.
That is my only connection it's going to have. Like, not to say that we won't see Joaquin Phoenix play the Joker again.
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt it, but I'm not going to say never say never.
I would say this right now, maybe not, but if the film does well enough and the public reception is as good as the critic reception has been, you'll see him again.
Oh, I would imagine so. I think if this comes out the gate hot, which I think it will, I think that this will be probably over $100 million opening weekend.
Oh, probably.
I will say that, just unofficially guessing, just with the buzz going on, because this one is going to have comic fans going because, hey, it's the Joker.
Yeah.
But this is going to have movie fans going, the ones that really like the production, the screens, the screenwriting, the acting. This has something for everybody, and this is just definitely not going to be tied into the superhero genre. I mean, that's the only thing I can really stress about.
Right.
Because I got this into a couple different discussions on Twitter about this. For a movie experience, this is going to be a great movie. It looks it.
Oh, yeah.
But anything tying into the comics, I'm just suspending all disbelief.
Right.
Because we all know the Joker's story.
Yeah.
We all know he falls into the vat of chemicals at Ace Chemicals, and then obviously he really descends into madness, and it goes from there.
Yep.
So to see them do the origin like this is interesting. And to see how they go with this, because one thing I'm really interested in to see how they try portraying this, and I hope they don't do this, is that the Joker's the hero. I really don't want to see that on this movie.
I don't think it'll come off that way because, I mean, we know the character.
Yeah.
We know who he is. Like, there's no reason this guy is a hero. I mean, it's just one of those things.
No, because I know there's been comics. I think Brian Azzarello wrote one that is just phenomenal. And if you're going to do a Joker movie, it doesn't portray him as a hero. It literally portrays him as the Joker. And you see the world through a henchman's eyes.
Right.
And it's so well done.
I don't think this is going to portray him as a hero. I think it's just going to be, if you've ever asked a question about, any franchise, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, take your pick, and gone, I wonder what that character was like, when he first started becoming a thing, like not just his origin story, but like the whole build up, the classic story trope of, the beginning, the middle, the rising action, falling action, and then the conclusion. I feel like to me, this is what that's going to be like. Okay, we know the origin story, but like, we don't know everything about what happened and what led to that moment and the rise and descent into madness. Like, I feel like that's what this is going to be, that like, it's going to kind of answer a few questions somebody might have.
It might answer some questions, but I can't stress enough, though. Like, I would not go in there trying to connect it a lot.
Right,
to
yeah. If you're going to go in there looking for, like, connections to, like, Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, you're going to be severely disappointed.
You're going to be extremely disappointed.
This will have, to our knowledge, no connections to those films, that it is just simply an origin film for the Joker.
It's an origin for a version of the Joker.
Right.
That's the way I'm treating this.
Yeah.
And like I say, I'm going in not thinking this is a Joker movie. I'm just going in more dealing with this is a person's journey.
Yeah.
Albeit into madness.
Yeah.
But a journey nevertheless.
And going being real prepared to get real creeped out, because that's the thing I kept reading over the weekend from folks who got to see it at the film festival, was that, like, everybody might, when you have a film come out and the reviews come out, like, some people hit the same points, but this was like the first time that anything I read kind of made this point, that there were points where they straight up felt real uncomfortable watching the film, that it was just what they were showing and what they were doing on screen was just very uncomfortable to watch.
Oh, I'm sure. Anytime you deal with the Joker, and let alone they got an R rating for it, you're going to really push the envelope.
Yeah.
No matter what version you're going to tell. I mean, the Joker, let's face it, pop culture has kind of made him into a weird icon, so to speak.
A little bit.
But when you really unleash him in his purest insanity, this is why most of the books coming out on him lately have been under the DC Black Label banner, because they're mature readers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even think about it, go through most of his comics. I mean, not saying the Silver Age.
Yeah.
But just go into, the 80s since. I mean,
right. I mean, there was like you said, there was a good point in time in DC Comics history where he was an, oh, shucks, you got me, Batman, and ran away.
Yeah, but now, I mean, you take a look at anywhere ranging from what he did with Jason Todd when Jason Todd was Robin.
Whoa, boy.
Yeah, when you have a 1-800 number to decide the character's fate and what they allowed him to do. I mean, it's just...
listen, people called the number and pushed the one button because they didn't think it was legit.
Right, but either way, it was responsible and comics history changed that way. But
right, and for those who don't know the full story, when they brought Joker back and really started turning him back from the kind of shucks Batman character into the serious threat he was, Jason Todd at the time, and you can verify this, was not a very well liked character.
No, he came out on the heels of Dick Grayson, and no matter who you are, you're not going to top Dick Grayson.
A lot of people weren't a fan of him, and so Joker had captured Jason Todd at one point, and DC did this wild thing that I don't think anyone's ever done since. They set up a 1-800 number where you could call this number and push a button. Either Batman would save him or Batman wouldn't save him button. Like, there was one that was one, the other was another button for the other one, and the fans could vote and decide what would happen. And a lot of people pushed the button for Batman wouldn't save it because they didn't think it was serious.
Yeah.
That they didn't think, there's no way they'll ever kill him off.
Yeah.
And then the issue comes out, and lo and behold, they did.
Yeah, Death in the Family is one of the most classic Batman stories.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend picking up the trade paperback.
Yeah.
And even so, I mean, that was the point, I think, when Joker really started making the turn. Like, in the 70s, he really started turning.
Yeah.
And they really started kind of digging into it. But it was in the 80s is like when they really were like sinking the teeth in and really kind of going. Because especially, even on the animated series, if you want to break it down. I mean, they were, obviously it was animated, so they weren't going full tilt.
Yeah, they went as full tilt as they could go without really, challenging the powers that be to go, you might want to dial this back a little bit.
Right, because the demeanor was, obviously, when it used to be just, clear-cut good guy, clear-cut bad guy.
Yeah. And
everything just kind of tied up in a nice bow. As time has progressed, the Joker has become more evolved to this society he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen writers and creators really push the envelope a lot.
Yeah.
And I think like one of my favorite Joker stories actually is, The Killing Joke is the best Joker story you're ever going to read, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Alan Moore's beautiful, tragic tale is a must-read for any literature fan, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And even more recently, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Death of the Family.
Ooh.
Which was so, creepy and psychological, but so well done, too. I could literally go on and on and on about it. So, overall, though, this movie is capturing the essence of one version of the Joker. Either it's going to be something you're very familiar with and you're really anticipating to see the direction it goes in, or you're going to be downright scared.
Yeah.
Because the skin will crawl on you. Has that effect. And how they're going to come across with this, so far, it's just been rave reviews.
Yeah.
So the buzz is going to be there.
I mean, IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, which is their first film this year to get a 10 out of 10 rating. And I've heard and read similar from other sites that they're just raving.
Yeah, and the film is deserving the praise. It was a big gamble to take it when it did.
Yeah.
So you have to really put that in perspective. When the movie comes out, first week of October is really going to tell the tale.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, DC is going to have a huge hit on their hands. I'm fully suspecting this.
Oh, yeah.
Where this leads to the next direction of the DCEU, who knows? I'm treating this as an Elseworld story.
Yeah.
That this might be one and done. But if so, the lasting imprint is going to have ramifications on the Joker and Batman moving forward for film history to come.
Mm-hmm.
But let us know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. Join in the conversation on social media because we want to hear from you. What is your thoughts on the latest Joker trailer, and are you excited for the movie? Are you not, and why? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. How does getting paid just for listening to podcasts sound? Podcoin literally does that. How does this work? All you have to do is download the free Podcoin app on your iPhone or Android. Once you do that, start listening to your favorite podcasts and start earning Podcoins. You can turn Podcoins in for gift cards to retailers like Starbucks and Amazon, or even donate to charity, all for just listening to podcasts. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now and use the code ODPHPOD, that's ODPHPOD, to get 300 Podcoins when you sign up. For more info, check out podcoin.com. Podcoin. Get paid for just hitting play. Coming back for segment number 2 on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and there is a show that is returning this week that is near and dear to my heart.
Uh-huh.
DC Universe's Titans is back for season 2.
Uh-huh.
Now, DC Universe, the streaming service that has everything you could want if you're a DC Comics fan.
Uh-huh.
Titans was the get-go series out the gate. The first trailer came out, was very on the fence about it.
I'll say the general internet reaction was, boy, this looks bad.
Yeah, and I will admit, it did look awful. Like when we went down to New York Comic Con, that's when everything was coming out right around that point last year. So we're 1 year removed. The series came out, and man, was it a pleasant surprise. It's kind of one of those don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
You should never have judged the show by its trailer. The show was good. Encompassing the Teen Titans, which, if you know DC Comics history, they have been a long-standing team right underneath the Justice League, just the lineage. And we touched upon this a little bit last week on the episode, just how DC has like a family tree almost of superheroes.
Yeah, so they really rose to kind of almost semi-mainstream prominence back in the 2000s with the popular animated series on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, because at one point they were, I believe, one of DC's best books.
Right.
And they still are. I mean, they have just had a resurgence. They're doing a lot of things in the comics, and especially at that time when they came out, it was when all the sidekicks formed as a team.
Right.
And it was under Marv Wolfman and George Perez when they really took off. I mean, you talk about great storylines, the Judas Contract, one of the best ever, when you really introduced Deathstroke to just how great that character could have been, or could be rather, and just the direction they've gone since. I mean, just so much good stuff. So obviously when the show was coming out, a lot of expectations were set. Season 1 was very good. Yeah. Albeit they did have a couple of hiccup episodes, in my opinion.
Which is normal for a TV series.
It's normal, but it did what it needed to do. Establish, okay, what the brand is going to be when you see DC Universe live action shows. Titans was good. Doom Patrol is amazing. Swamp Thing, even though it has been canceled, I haven't heard anything more if it's getting brought back at some point.
Thus far, no.
Thus far, no, but that has been a quality show. Young Justice, the animated, I mean, I know it's a different subject, but kind of same characters are involved in here and there.
Yeah.
Excellent, too. So DC Universe has been on a roll lately. I know they have one more live action show coming out, Stargirl, at some point. But now we're going on to the second season.
And we get a little description of it, courtesy of the folks at IGN.com. Says, I won't read the first part of this sentence because if you haven't seen season 1, it's a mild spoiler. So Dick reforms the Titans. So spoiler. Dick reforms the Titans under his supervision in their new home at Titans Tower. Rachel, Gar, and Jason Todd train together to hone their hero abilities and work together as a team. They are joined by Hank Hall and Dawn Granger, a.k.a. Hawk and Dove, and Donna Troy, a.k.a. Wonder Girl. Although these original Titans attempt to transition into a regular life, when old enemies resurface, everyone must come together to take care of unfinished business. And as this family of old and new Titans, including Connor Kent and Rose Wilson, learn to coexist, the arrival of Deathstroke brings to light the sins of the old Titans, which threaten to tear this new Titans family apart once more.
Yes. This second season is going to tie into a lot more of the comic history of the show.
Sure.
So, which I'm really excited for.
Which, I mean, if we're bringing Connor Kent into this, we're getting clones involved.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting mix because the original Teen Titans, or I shouldn't say Teen Titans, but I'm so used to saying that.
Yeah.
The original Titans team, rather, was Dick Grayson, Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy.
Right.
Cyborg was on Doom Patrol, which he fits there. Like, I cannot stress enough how good Doom Patrol is. And when I first heard that pairing, I was like, wait, he should be on Titans. He shouldn't be on Doom Patrol. It so works over there. No issues. And I would like to see him make a cameo on this. But when they did last season's cliffhanger bonus scene, they introduced that Superboy, Connor Kent, and Crypto were going to be involved in the show.
Yeah.
Which is such a nice tie into the past with the present, so to speak. Because when Teen Titans had their resurgence a few years back, Superboy was one of the big members on the team, Connor Kent. So now they're going to kind of mix and match members of that group with the classic members. And where they're going with this season, we did see the first trailer that was released, a lot of questions, so we are going to talk spoilers of the show. So if you haven't seen the trailer yet, we're giving you fair warning. 3, 2, 1. Pat, overall, what did you think of the trailer?
A lot going on. Hard to kind of decipher what's going on from this, but I'm excited to see Deathstroke.
Yeah, I was too. The suit, though, I don't know. It looked a little too much like Deadshot for me.
I've been seeing some people say it's the best looking Deathstroke costume we've seen to date, and kind of crapping on the Manu Bennett one, which, I mean, understandable, but apples and oranges here. But, I mean, it looks okay.
It looks okay, like I said, but it just reminded me too much of Deathshot.
Yeah.
So far. But then again, I've only seen a couple pictures of it. We'll wait and see when I see the live action. Maybe they've updated since then.
Sure.
But it opens up, obviously, dealing with the ramifications of Season 1. And I know Pat wants to avoid the spoilers, so let's just say this. The Titans were in a very bad spot for season 1.
And if you've seen the Teen Titans animated series, the first one, not the Teen Titans Go, I haven't seen anything of that, so I don't know if they deal with that person in that series. But if you are familiar with the original Teen Titans animated series, you are very familiar with that character.
Yes, and where they kind of left off was very interesting because the last episode of season 1, I did felt it was underwhelming, in my opinion, because they teased Batman.
Right.
And you didn't see him and how the story played out. It was very interesting, to say the least. So where they're going to pick up the pieces from here, obviously the Titans will get out of the situation they're in. I'm very curious of how.
Oh, yeah.
Because where they were at the end of last season, because at this point, they were very inexperienced and they were in way, way, way over their heads.
A little bit.
So now we're going into season 2, and they're tying in more aspects of the Teen Titans lineage. So as we dive back into the trailer, we see that Robin is, who is not, Dick Grayson is still Nightwing, or Robin at this point. He's not Nightwing, but I think that transition is happening.
It's hard to say because there's the shot in the trailer of the suit kind of broken into pieces and lying on the ground in front of a burning building, and it's brought up a couple of times that he's not Robin anymore. So to me, it feels almost like a Daredevil season 1 type thing where he will be doing his thing and he will have some form of costume on to hide his face, but we won't see the full Nightwing costume until some later point in the season.
Right. No, I think that full transition is going to happen. I mean, Brendan Thwaites played an amazing Dick Grayson. I was very happy with him, and especially it was kind of his, growing out of Batman's shadow, because the way they portrayed Batman is he was almost like a taskmaster. He was just very brutal and very, non-sympathetic for Dick Grayson at this time. So how he's taken this is wherever they come out from, the season 1 is it's going to be a new beginning. And then they also tie into the next scene that we see on the trailer is Hawk and Dove, who were on last season, Alan Richardson and Mika Kelly, who were great in their roles, is kind of deciding, okay, it seems like they're almost getting ready to join back on the team, which...
Well, it sounds like half of them want to join back on the team, and the other half is I don't know.
Well, if you know how they were portrayed in season 1, it was kind of very back and forth. Dove has been more of a team player, while Hawk has really been looking at other interests, so to speak.
Right.
So when that is tying into play, it really is kind of throwing a little curveball, what their intentions are going to be. Because they were featured in a couple episodes, and even their origin episode was very well done. I have to say that. And then the next scene that we see in the trailer is Wonder Girl is back, and I am super, super, super excited. Connor Leslie was an amazing addition last season, and you see her talking with Aqualad, who we're seeing for the first time, and not really knowing on what's going on in the history there. So that's going to be very interesting to see how this kind of matches up. Drew Van Acker is playing Garth this season, and you see them kind of having all right, are you with me or not?
Right.
Which I don't know how that plays into the history. I'm not even sure what time period this is supposed to play into. Because the one thing that we're noticing is a little later in the trailer, there's a scene between Dove and Grayson. That Dove is warning Grayson, there's history with this. You don't know what you're doing. Because it seems like at this point, Dick Grayson has kind of decided that he's going to mentor this team.
Right.
And really take over. And what I can only assume is the building they're in is the Titans Tower.
Could be.
I think it has to be. I think at this point you have to do that.
I say they're definitely taking a vibe out of the Young Justice. I want to say it was season 2. Don't quote me on that, but it was Young Justice season 2. Where season 1 he was Robin, he was running around in the Robin costume and the Robin mask and the whole 9. But then I can't remember if it was season 2 or 3. I forget which, but it was one of the later seasons. He transitioned into at least to my recollection, with no explanation or anything. He just transitioned into Nightwing, and while he was still around, he was more in a mentoring role.
Yeah, so at this stage, it would make sense to do that, albeit though they have so many new characters involved that you really kind of have to watch what's going on. And they also show, Raven is obviously dealing with what happened in season 1, is still in a bad place. And going forward, you do see that Jason Todd is lingering around the team.
Right.
Which is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Because, I do like the addition of Jason Todd on here because it's so different than how the character is in the comics. Curtin Walters plays this character who it's almost like you flip both characters.
Right.
Because at one point, he's like, the Titans are back, bitches. and to a TV crew, and it's like, okay, wait, Jason Todd would never say this in his right mind. So when you see that character happening, but he's still having those violent outbursts that he has that you know from the early days when he was Robin. I mean, obviously before the Joker 900 or 800 number. So at this stage, you're really kind of seeing that Dick is stepping up to be the mentor of this team, and you can see the pushback, which is really interesting to see that now he's in that mentor role that originally was Batman for him.
Right.
How is he going to deal with this? And then lo and behold, Pad, they are introducing said Batman this year. And who is playing Batman?
Ian Glenn, best known as Jorah Mormont from Game of Thrones.
How you feeling about that?
I'm not going to lie. Looks a little old. Like, I'm not talking like Alfred Pennyworth old, but like, and not certainly, on the younger end, but like, looks a little old for me.
I am perfectly fine with this. No, and this is the reason I'm saying. Dick Grayson at this stage doesn't look like a teenager,
right?
In my opinion,
Yeah.
So he does look aged.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bruce Wayne is aged in this I really don't struggle with this because I don't think that they're going to obviously have him jumping in a suit and becoming involved. I think that he's going to be playing the mentor role and just kind of off in the distance.
Right.
I mean, if he wanted to, I'm sure it would make a lot of sense too, because wherever they're trying to timestamp everything in this series, it does make sense because when we do see Deathstroke appear,
right,
Deathstroke does look older.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
I mean, Isai Morales, who's playing Deathstroke this year, you see him, he's aged in this at the point because he sees that infamous Robin commercial or news segment.
Yeah.
And dare I say, you see him aged with a beard, and all of a sudden, like, the light bulb comes on, like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think is transpiring in his head?
Nothing good. That's for sure.
No, because at this point, you're getting the sense that everybody is kind of tiptoeing around the fact that Deathstroke had something to do with the original dissolvement of the team.
Probably.
And obviously, if you know the character of Deathstroke and the history he has in the comic books, and like I said, I can't stress enough, you go back and read the classic New Teen Titans stuff that he's in. You know that history with the Titans is going to come up and be a major focal point of this year. And I'm perfectly fine with this. Like, I know Manu Bennett did a great job on Arrow.
Yeah.
And if they had brought him back on the show, I'm completely okay with this. But
I'm pretty sure he was down to do it, just they decided not to.
Yeah, they didn't opt to go get him. And you know what? That's fine. Like, if they want to keep the universes separate a bit, that's fine.
I mean, it makes sense. Obviously they could have aged him up because, hey, technology is that crazy these days that you can do that very easily. Cough, cough. Look at Stan Lee in Avengers Endgame. But for whatever reason they decided to go that way, and hey, I'll give the guy a shake.
Yeah, so at this stage, I mean, Morales is going to have a different interpretation, and the only thing that you know is it was tiptoed around by Wonder Girl, and that there's history with the team, and if you're restarting it, you know that Deathstroke is going to come find you.
Well, I mean, the general feeling I get with this is like you brought up the whole tiptoeing around thing, and I definitely get that vibe off of them because it feels like anyone who was connected with the original team knows what happened and is very understanding of what happened, but none of them, it's almost like, you got to tell somebody bad news, but nobody wants to be the person to tell that person bad news. So it's all kind of like, oh, are you going to tell them? No. Or are you going to tell them? No. Are you going to tell them?
Yeah. So at this stage, that's kind of the tone they're going to go with this season. So obviously, I'm really hoping that they're done with what they were doing in season 1 because I think now they'll be on a clear-cut path.
Right.
And especially with the characters they've added. Because like we said, we did say that Superboy was introduced, which I'm very excited to see.
We're getting clones involved.
We're going to get clones involved, so it's going to get a little weird. And, it's going to happen. It's going to be what it's going to be. So I can't really argue too much with that.
Yeah.
But once you have Superboy involved, obviously the name Luthor is going to become more tagged.
I'll say he's not far behind.
He can't be that far behind.
I'll say when you lose an asset like a clone of Superman, you're not going to exactly sit on a beach sipping on drinks.
Yeah, Joshua Orpin is playing Connor Kent this season. So whoever they decide to get for Luthor, I could imagine they'll be the season 3 villain. I can only imagine they're going to renew for season 3 if they're planning this far ahead.
Yeah.
But when they do, he will be the major villain, I would imagine.
Probably.
That's going to be really interesting to do because I can't really remember a time where Luthor had been the major antagonist for the Titans.
Right.
In comics. I mean, I could be wrong. Please correct me on
ODPH. Say it could have been like a one-off or a couple issues thing, but not like an overarching storyline.
No, maybe not. And like obviously wherever they're going to go with this is going to be really kind of interesting to see if he's going to get involved and what direction that could be. So, I mean, I'm excited for it, but anytime you're dealing with Superboy and Cadmus and that whole fun universe, it could get a little messy.
A little bit.
A little bit. So we'll kind of have to wait and see about that. And then throughout the trailer, we do see some stranger confront Starfire, played by Anna Diop, who is amazing on the show. Obviously, my favorite actress on the show, actor, period. She is the character to watch on the show and brought so much to the role of Starfire. And as we see, it appears somebody from her planet of Tamaran has now come to Earth to take her back.
I'll say they do refer to her as Princess and not Starfire.
Right. So there's going to be some ties into that. So I'm really interested to see where they go with this.
I'll say which likely means her sister probably isn't far behind.
Yeah, I would have to imagine.
Well, boy.
We haven't heard anything about casting for that yet, but I would
keeping that under wraps if that's happened.
I would imagine that. And then as you kind of see, you do see some live action shots with Wonder Girl using the lasso of truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's kind of a very cool thing. And
yeah.
I mean, they have the little
fun nod.
Yeah, it's a little fun nod. And you kind of see the team is starting to work together. There's different action shots at different time periods, but it feels like it's present.
Right.
Like, that's the sense I get from it. That you see, like, Hawk and Dove working together with Robin, and you really kind of get the sense, okay, something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do flash to a villain, and I will admit, the first time I saw this trailer, I was like, who is this?
Yeah.
And it's Dr. Light,
mm-hmm.
played by Michael Mosley. I did not recognize him.
No.
Did not. I'm not shaming it. I could not recognize who the character was. So had to do a little searching for that, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's bringing to the table for this. And then, like I say, we have more Deathstroke throughout the trailer.
You can never have enough Deathstroke.
No, definitely not. And we definitely see his children are going to be involved this year.
Oh, boy.
Chellaman is playing Jericho. Chelsea Zhang is playing Rose Wilson, a.k.a. the Ravager. So, obviously, when you're tying in that much to the team, and all those characters have so much history in the comics, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun mix from past teams to current teams to not the one that's currently in the books now, but you do have that sense of just the real, I would say, infamous characters with the Titans lore
right
that are involved. And I do like the mix and match. Like, for me, I really think it kind of connects a little bit. So when it ends with the trailer, you can hear somebody saying, with Deathstroke coming back, Robin, Dick Grayson now needs to become Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that, Pat?
I mean, yeah, maybe. It's hard to say, just because the only time, at least to my knowledge, that Batman has ever fully passed on the suit was to Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond. But I kind of got to wait and see what's going on with season 2 to go, oh, you need to be Batman. Like, okay, why is Batman not going to be able to be Batman anymore? Like, what's the story here?
I would almost wonder if they would actually kill off Bruce Wayne.
Whoa, boy.
And force the issue, like Deathstroke finally did that.
Well, so will they do a kill off like in the Dark Knight Rises or whatever it was, Dark Knight Returns, where he's dead, but he's not really dead. He's just secretly underground.
I would imagine so. Like, you mean you're not going to kill off Batman?
You can't kill off Bruce Wayne.
Come on now. But overall, though, Pat,
mm-hmm.
I know that you have not seen season 1.
No.
After seeing season 2 trailer, are you more amped up to maybe give this a shot and kind of get caught up?
Yeah, it's still kind of the same. Like, it is what it is, and it's cool, but not really on my radar all that much.
Oh, that's a fair take. I mean, for me, I'm excited because, like I say, I have read many Titans comics throughout the years, and like I say, I love the older stuff. The newer stuff is good too. I don't want to, sound like I'm taking a shot. Obviously, the Damian Wayne-led team, I'm not really into,
mm-hmm.
but I do like the fact they're tying into when the new Teen Titans were like the team,
right?
And that how well that book is done, and just when you start digging into stories like who is Donna Troy and the Judas Contract, and you start going into that realm. That's when like Titans really hits, and I thought they were hitting on all cylinders.
Right.
I sense though when I'm reading or watching this trailer, rather, this is the kind of vibe that you're going to get. You're going to get some of those classic Titans stories involved,
mm-hmm.
and I'm really interested to see how they're going to pull this off.
Right.
Like that's what I really want to see, because obviously this is the first time that we're going to see a second season involved, which is weird to say,
mm-hmm.
but it's really going to be interesting to see that. Okay, can a show on the DC universe sustain and have multiple seasons?
Right.
I mean, for me, Doom Patrol coming back is a smart move, so I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with that. But for Titans, especially, they announced it right at Comic-Con last year that, hey, we are greenlit season 2 before the show even came out.
Right.
So obviously the expectations were there. Overall, season 1 of Titans was very good. Definitely tied into a lot of the past history of Titans,
mm-hmm.
mixing it though, kind of modernizing a bit. And the Nuclear Family was one of the best villain teams I have seen in a while. I could not stop. Like, I shouldn't have been laughing as much as I was, but they were just a fun team to pair them up against. Because the one thing about this show is it is more dark and gritty than what you've seen per se into the comics.
Mm-hmm.
That it does have that tone. I think at one point I said it was a lot of mix of like extreme comics. During the time when it's very violent, it's very in your face, it's no punches pulled. It works for Titans once you kind of get into the story, because once they let the characters really grow, that's when it gets fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully suspect this season they're going to do that, because when they're tying in so much of what the books were, and especially from, like I said, the Wolfman Perez run, this is like what my show is that I want to see.
Sure.
And this is why I'm super excited to see it. So that being said, Titans kicks off this Friday as we are recording, September 6th, on the DC Universe streaming service. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What is your thoughts on Titans? Have you seen the trailer? Do you love it? Do you hate it? And why? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Nerd Bomber here, one of the co-hosts of the Online Warriors podcast. Our weekly podcast started as a way for three friends to keep in touch and discuss their passion for movies, gaming, technology, and entertainment. And since then, we've grown into a fantastic online community. Every Wednesday, we release a new episode discussing the latest nerdy news, and then we go hands-on with our weekly adventures and a fun trivia show. Sound interesting? Check us out on every podcast platform, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or hit us up at onlinewarriorspodcast.com.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And Pad, why don't you let me kick off the one-shots for once?
Oh, sure.
Because I want to jump right into it. It is House of X.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've been breaking down the entire series of the X-Men.
Yep.
And this one was a little shorter of a read, but it does make sense, though.
Yes.
Because this kind of felt like a actual X-Men comic. Like, I know Jonathan Hickman has been building this multi-layered story, top to bottom. And obviously, this is dealing with the effects of Xavier, who has now heard the future from William McTaggart, and the crazy storyline going on with her, that he is now sent in Cyclops and company to go destroy the master mold plant there that is making the machine out in space.
And out in like the short orbit of the sun.
Yes, because now they finally have the blueprint of how to stop Nimrod from being created.
Which we got to give you your due. You did predict when we reviewed the Powers of X, last Powers of X issue, that you thought the next House of X issue would deal with them sending Moira back in time with the plans and origin story of Nimrod, that was what the next issue was going to be, and lo and behold, that's what it is.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the nod. So this one, though, was pretty straightforward. It was the team going into Orcus base and just really attacking, and really kind of, I don't want to say they felt like this was a suicide mission.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is, because it wasn't just, Professor X and Magneto going, hey, Scott, take, Jubilee and Rogue and Gambit and Storm and whoever else and go do this. It was, hey, get a team together, but like you got to get a team together that is willing to possibly die.
Right, and Cyclops obviously knows the mission at hand, and he has been dedicated to Xavier's dream, whatever version it is, since day one.
Yeah.
And that's not wavering on this. So obviously he recruits a team of Wolverine, Marvel Girl, M, Nightcrawler, and Archangel, and they take off into space to go stop this.
Yeah.
And the weird thing, too, which I did not realize, I had to actually do a double read of this.
Okay.
Kuroka is where?
I can't say I remember.
It's on the moon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, if I remember previous issues of the Jonathan Hickman's run, it's wherever they need it to be.
Right. Like,
which at that point in time might be the moon.
Yeah, which is crazy how they're tying in that whole flower thing that they're all planting. Like, it almost seems like they can use that as wherever they want to go for their base.
Right.
That's kind of the sense I'm getting.
Well, yeah, because if I remember, I want to say it was the first House of X issue. I can't exactly remember which one, but it was the one where Magneto was meeting with the world country leaders, and he was kind of going through what all Krakoa could do, and one of them that really raised the hair on a lot of their necks was that we need to be in New Zealand because we heard it's a nice sunny day and we feel like having a picnic. Oh, let's go to New Zealand. Oh, what's that? There's an issue going on over in Cairo, Egypt. Oh, let's just pop over and take care of that. No flying, no necessary. We'll just teleport right there.
Right. So at this stage, I mean, it's just kind of really crazy that, I mean, how multi-layered this whole plan is. Xavier has, like, the fact that he can do jumping around like that, and even so, you see the team go off into space and they attack that Orcus place, and then what happens though? They have their ship blown up.
Yeah.
So they're essentially stranded as they're attacking this base. They have no way out.
Right, and the crew that's running the base is very surprised that they're showing up because I get the feeling that there's supposed to be some sort of like artificial intelligence or some form of sentience on this ship that should be able to detect things and predict things and know when things are going to come. But they come out of the blind spot or the other side of the sun so that they don't see them, and they use the sun's gravity to slingshot around it to kind of go, hey, surprise.
Right. And the whole mission, too, is to push the whole space station, directly into the sun.
Yeah.
To get everything so there's no chance of any evidence coming back to Earth.
Right.
So now without a ship, they are stranded.
Mm-hmm.
And where this is going to lead into for next issue, I can't wait. Like,
it's going to be wild. It's
absolutely crazy. I mean, we didn't even touch upon the whole Emma Frost being the lawyer for Sabretooth.
That was weird.
That was awkward and weird and funny, and I just was like, okay, I'm just going to roll with this because I'm literally trying to comprehend this.
She walked into that room when they were ready to and that was the other weird thing is they have a 10 strike rule for mutants, which I'm like, all right, isn't that kind of one too many? But who am I? But she just walks in there, and I'm like, oh, and I kind of like sat up as I'm reading the issue, and I go, oh, this is going to get real interesting real fast.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, overall, though, the issue was absolutely crazy, and to say the least. And now it's like wherever it's going to go. I mean, I believe this is the week they're going back-to-back with House.
Yeah.
So the next issue is coming out this week at your local comic shops. Go pick it up because it is some of the best work in the X-Men universe that you have seen in a very, very, very long time. So I highly recommend it. Definitely go check it. And what else can you really say from there?
Yep.
Pat, take us home with some one-shots.
Sure. Got a couple things to talk about. First of which being near and dear to my heart, some Kingdom Hearts news.
Oh, boy.
No, it's not the next game for Kingdom Hearts. I get the feeling it's going to be a little while before we find out anything about that when they do another one. No, it's some DLC-related news in the first ever Kingdom Hearts DLC, because the thing you might be going, wait a minute, first ever DLC for Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, I was going to say, what?
The series is 17 years old. How is it the first ever DLC? Well, folks, the first set of games came out on the PlayStation 2. Then you had some on handheld consoles such as the Nintendo DS and the Game Boy Advance and such. And anything that came out on PlayStation 3 was just kind of HD remasters. And yes, I know there were final mixes or different versions added in with bonus stuff added in, but that's not really DLC. No, we're getting some DLC. The Kingdom Hearts Facebook account posted 1 week to go. This time next week. Now, this was posted on Monday, so on Monday they will be releasing a brand new trailer for the Mind DLC that's coming out. Now, nothing is quite known about if it's free. I know Tetsuya Nomura, the game's director, had kind of talked about it, and nothing's really been said if it's going to be free or you might have to pay a fee for it. But if I read right, it sounds like the DLC will be involving some of the characters, because there's a big battle at the end of the game where it's like all the major characters from over the series kind of show up and they start fighting. If I read right, it sounds like that you're going to be able to fight that battle from their point of views, not Sora, the main character. So that'll be something interesting to see. We'll get full details, I'm sure, next week when the trailer releases.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting. Switching gears, we got some casting news because we got some casting news for James Gunn's upcoming film, The Suicide Squad.
Oh boy!
Now, this cast is already bonkers insane because we've got, of course, James Gunn writing and directing. Margot Robbie will be playing Harley Quinn. Reportedly, Taika Waititi is in talks to play a character in the film. Joel Kinnaman is in the film. Idris Elba, Nathan Fillion, Jai Courtney, Viola Davis, John Cena's rumored to be in this movie. I mean, the cast is absolutely insane. I mean, you've got characters like Polka Dot Man and King Shark supposedly in this film. I mean, Captain Boomerang might be showing up in this film. It just sounds like, James Gunn is pulling on all the stops for this film.
Yeah, this is just absolutely wild. Like, everybody he's adding, and you're trying to remember, like, the casting involved. Mm-hmm. Like, how absolutely nuts is this, like, for characters?
Oh, yeah.
Because the Suicide Squad, obviously, the film version with Will Smith as the lead is a little more grittier than what we're expecting on this.
Yeah.
Like, this one, the comic is so depressing. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that James Gunn is doing this and so many characters involved, there's going to be like a massive body count that I'm not even going to be able to comprehend.
I mean, I know Dave Bautista's thrown his name out there as wanting to work with Gunn because he loves working with James Gunn. Yet to see if that's happening. But no, as we record today, Deadline.com is reporting that former Doctor Who himself, Peter Capaldi, is joining the Suicide Squad film as a yet-to-be-announced character.
Get out.
Yeah, which is interesting, and people kind of figure because he was at a comic convention over the weekend and was doing an interview, and people were asking, "Oh, what's the next film you're going to be working on? What are you working on next?" And he's like, "Well, I'm working on a fairly big project, but I can't talk about it yet." Here we go. We know what it is now. Any ideas who he might play?
Okay, I'm going to just try guessing because the thing about this is Gunn has not like tipped his cap about characters. I mean, he's got Polka Dot Man and
supposedly,
I mean, Peacemaker is supposed to be John Cena allegedly. I mean, he is really scraping through the DCU. I mean, for Capaldi, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say the Mad Hatter.
Okay.
From Batman lore.
Okay. If they do the Mad Hatter, it'd be fun if they cast Jenna Coleman as Alice. Just a fun Doctor Who nod.
Oh my God. Can you imagine this?
That'd be so good.
And they got to have a camera shot of them by a blue telephone booth. It doesn't have to say anything on it, even though if it said Bad Wolf, it'd be pretty dope.
Oh, that'd be good.
Who you get?
I'm going to go with Simon. I mean, I know I've seen that thrown out there a couple places. Simon would be interesting.
That would be... I mean, that would fit up the wheelbarrow. Simon is a white Martian, I believe, from the Martian Manhunter lore, Rogues Gallery. So, yeah, I mean, that would be something wild.
Yeah.
I mean, to say the least.
Yeah, and then there's this one's more of a rumor than anything. There are rumors floating about that Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson is in rumors or in discussions to be starring in the film as well.
I have no idea who.
Neither do I. It'll be wild, though.
I mean, who could you cast as him?
I have no idea, but it's Gunn. He'll make it work.
Oh, he'll make it work. Like, that's the thing, too. Like, Gunn has got the entire DCU playbook to mess around with.
Oh, yeah. And given his success with Guardians of the Galaxy, I very much get the sense that, Warner Brothers, DC is just going to go to him and go, all right, just write us a check on how much you need and we'll pay you for it.
I absolutely love Pete Davidson. So, you know what? Like, him on this film is going to be hysterical. Like,
Can you imagine if John Cena does end up being in this movie and Dave Bautista ends up being in this movie? Can we get a scene where it's Pete Davidson, John Cena, and Dave Bautista in a room together?
I need this to happen.
It'd be so good.
I mean, have they even rumored about who Batista was playing? Because I know John Cena was supposed to be rumored about Peacemaker, right?
Yeah, supposedly John Cena might be playing Peacemaker if he's in the film. The Dave Bautista thing, I know he's thrown his name out there as wanting to be in the film, but I haven't seen anything firm or even like rumored about him.
I'm going to throw this dream casting out there.
Okay.
I need Dave Bautista as Solomon Grundy.
Oh my God.
I need this.
Oh my God.
I need this to happen.
That'd be perfect.
Somebody please tweet this to James Gunn.
Oh, that's up his alley.
Oh my God, yes.
That'd be so good.
Because I don't. Then Pete Davidson could be like what's his name? Rob Delaney that was in Deadpool 2.
Oh,
just be an average guy.
Joe.
Average guy.
He answered a wanted ad.
Oh, Pete Davidson's awesome.
Or no, you know what? He's just an average prison inmate that like, oh, we need one more body. Well, let's just get this guy.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Oh.
This movie, I tell you what, they're really loading up the casting on it.
Yeah.
I'm expecting to just be outright hysterical.
Oh, it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I can't wait for this.
Switching to some Netflix news, Ken, when it comes to streaming television series, how do you prefer to watch the series? All at once or on a weekly basis?
It's a tough call. I'll be honest. I really liked when I could binge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, it worked out a lot better, but I've grown in accustomed, like, for example, for the DC Universe.
Sure.
All their shows are 1 week.
Yep.
And certain shows you can binge watch, like Titans.
Yeah.
Certain ones you can't, like Doom Patrol.
Sure.
I recommend it. Watch Doom Patrol, but you need to space it out because you watch them all together, your head will explode.
Yeah.
So I'll say I like binge.
Yeah, so of course Netflix currently releases everything all at once. Hulu does theirs on a weekly basis. DC Universe does theirs either all, like you said, all at once or on a weekly basis. We know Disney Plus is going to do theirs on a weekly basis. Netflix might be switching up its release method. Now, nothing's firm, nothing's concrete, but it's just kind of some reading of the tea leaves. As Complex.com wrote an article, basically how you may have heard of and may have even seen a show called The Great British Baking Show. Never seen it myself, but I've heard of it.
Heard about it.
It's got 7 episodes coming out in its new season, and it is going to be on a weekly basis, not all at once. And now I know I've read online some people aren't very happy about it because they love the show and it's a great show and they want to watch it all at once. So you got that going on. And then Netflix has got a new show coming out called Rhythm and Flow. Think of like American Idol or The Voice, but for rap and hip hop.
Okay.
It's going to feature T.I., Cardi B, and Chance the Rapper as judges, and the rap competition show will be released in groups every week. The first 4 episodes will drop on October 9th, and then the 5 through 7 episodes will air on October 16th. And the season will wrap with episodes 8 through 10 on October 23rd. And it aims to find the next big hip-hop artist with the help of T.I., Chance, and Cardi B. So you got that going now. Nothing really set in stone, but for me personally, I'm more and more leaning towards I like things on a weekly basis, because while once upon a time I could very easily, show dropped and binge the whole thing in a day or slightly over a day, it's getting a little harder to do that these days. I mean, life gets in the way and harder to stay up and watch the whole thing at night and all that. So, I mean, if Netflix ends up switching to the weekly thing, I won't be mad about it. I know a lot of people will, but I wouldn't complain about it.
Yeah, for 4 episodes, that's not bad. I can't really get mad about that. Like for episodes, when they had Daredevil and Punisher and all those, which are 11 plus episodes, like that I don't mind binging, because I usually would watch about 4 or 5 in a night, and then obviously catch up the rest when I could catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're kind of packaging like that, I'm not that upset about that.
Right.
It kind of gives you more incentive to click back. Just the only thing is, like, if you get hooked on a shorter series like Stranger Things, then I would say no, put them all out at once, because when your episodes are I believe the season was like 8 or 9, so it's roughly shorter, but it's enough you can get through in a day. Or like Voltron would be another example. That's another quick one you can fly through.
Right.
Then I would say, okay, put them all together at once. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they're breaking that up, because if that's going to be the new trend for streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, has Disney Plus addressed this at all? Or are they going to say dump everything, or they're doing
theirs on a weekly basis.
That's right.
Basis.
All right. Yep. Yeah, we did mention that. Forgot about that.
Yep. Switching to the last one, some video game news. This one came out of left field for me. Video game company is rising from the ashes like a phoenix, being one Telltale Games.
Wait, they're coming back?
Well, kind of, sort of. Okay. So, of course, everyone might remember Telltale Games as the ones who kind of created their own genre in video games, in that it was essentially a choose-your-own video game, where they had major franchises like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and Guardians of the Galaxy and Batman and Minecraft and their own series, The Wolf Among Us, and just a lot of great games. But last year, they unfortunately, due to some financial issues and lack of cash, went out of business. It was founded in 2004 by former LucasArts developers Kevin Brunner, Dan Connors, and Troy Melander. News came out last week that it is being revived after its assets were purchased by a company called LCG Entertainment. Okay. The new company, this is according to Polygon.com, the new company will sell some of Telltale's back catalog and will work on new games based on a few Telltale associated properties, as well as new licenses. The new Telltale is headed up by Jamie Udley and Brian Waddle. Audley said that some workers from the original Telltale Games will be offered freelance roles with full-time positions possible in the future. So that's kind of like one red flag is, all right, we're going to bring some of you back, but it's going to be on a freelance basis. Now, they don't have... Now, that's kind of the interesting thing, is they're going to make back catalogs available. Not quite sure how that's going to work, because they have the licenses to The Wolf Among Us and Batman games. They don't have... they said, quote, "We're still evaluating, but we definitely want to continue some of the stories." It looks like they don't have the Walking Dead license, because that went to Skybound Entertainment, who finished up the last season of the Walking Dead video game.
Okay.
And then previous licenses such as Borderlands, which is owned by 2K Games and Gearbox Software, and then you got Game of Thrones from HBO, Guardians of the Galaxy from Marvel, and then Minecraft, which is the company that makes Minecraft, is owned by Microsoft. Nobody's quite sure what the licenses are on those. They might have even expired. So what that means for getting back catalogs of Telltale Games, who knows? But it's one of those interesting things that, a video game company, because the thing of it is looking back on it, yeah, they were great games. Like, for me, season 1 of The Walking Dead was just revolutionary in that it was essentially like, I remember playing that and just going, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. And I remember playing, so I didn't get through the whole thing, but parts of season 1 of Game of Thrones. And I remember his friend watching me play going, wait, are you watching a movie or playing a game?
Yeah, I mean, the Telltale games are always great. And, like, for me, the Walking Dead ones were phenomenal. Like, why? I don't understand for the life of me how Lee and Clementine did not get introduced into the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always, maybe that's how Kirkman's going to come back and write them.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
But how they did those books, or those games rather, is just really cool. I mean, it's like the choose your own adventures, and I really love that aspect of it because there was something you could do in like, I know for example, like Walking Dead, you did in episode 2, and it tied into the finale,
right? And that was one of the few games where like a lot of times I play games, and if it gives you a choice to do something, it's relatively easy. It's like, oh, I'll just do this. But there was a lot of times where like I'm sitting there, and they would present you like you can do option A, or you move your cursor and go over to option B, and you're sitting like, and they give you a timer. Like you can't sit there for minutes and minutes and minutes on end, like morally thinking about this and going, what am I going to do? What are going to be the ramifications? Like, no, they give you like 30 seconds to a minute to decide this, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, what am I going to pick? It's just one of those wild things. But I think really kind of they really did revolutionize things with their episodic model. But I think they, it's almost like the Icarus, they flew too close to the sun, where, they put out Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and Guardians of the Galaxy and all these other big name properties a little too fast. Not saying you shouldn't reach for those stars and shoot for the moon, but yeah, maybe not so fast.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where maybe too much too soon, but if they're coming back, maybe the ship is rewritten.
Yeah.
And where they go from here is anybody's guess.
Yeah, no, it's going to be one of those interesting things to keep your eye out on.
Yeah, definitely. So, as closing the show, the promo you heard was our buddies over at the Online Warriors Podcast. You can find them at onlinewarriorspodcast.com. They do a podcast where they talk everything gaming, movies, entertainment, and sports. Awesome podcast. Definitely check them out. Shout out to those guys. Our promo is going to be featured on their episode next week. So, check them out. And as we're going into shout-outs, we have to shout out where we're going to be coming up next couple weeks. Obviously, September 28th, September 29th, Robercon. We are going to be doing our panels on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. We're going to be doing the Marvel MCU panel, or our version of it, so to speak, with Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, formerly of coming. Yeah, so that'd be definitely worth the price of admission alone. And right after us at noon is our 8122 production friends. Hashtag 607 Podcast will be in the building. 3FN and Mike C. from Horror Zone 607 are going to be doing a panel on Saturday as well. Sunday, 11 a.m. is the podcast workshop that Mike, Rich, and myself will be running. And then 2 o'clock, I'm crashing the DC TV Universe panel.
Oh, boy.
So stay tuned for that, folks, because that's a breaking news announcement. All information on Robercon, robercon.org. But the night before, we cannot forget to talk about, because there is some late-breaking information on that.
Okay.
Now, our good friends over at Floodlands, shout out to Jimmy Gazik, Tom, and Billy, and Nick. They have put together a little show to kind of send us off on con season, because we're going to be taking off after Robercon, doing a little traveling. The whole hashtag 607 podcast group is going to be taking off. So Friday night, September 27th at Galaxy Brewing Company, 41 Court Street, Binghamton, New York, they're having the con season kickoff 2019.
Oh, boy.
So for all the hashtag 607 podcast groups, a couple of our favorite bands are giving us a little show to send us off. So Floodlands, shout at the robots. So shout out to those guys too. They always are very supportive of the hashtag 607 podcast movement. They're having the show with 2 other bands, and one was just named as we were recording.
Okay.
Grown Ups is going to be joining the bill. So it's Grown Ups, shout at the robots, and Floodlands, a $5 cover, 21 and over to get in. So definitely stay tuned to the hashtag 607 podcast network for more information on that. And then the big news for us is, the following week, October 3rd through 6th, we are officially locked and loaded in for New York Comic Con.
Oh, boy.
Badges have arrived. They are getting checked in, and we cannot wait to get down there. Talking to a couple other podcasts there. So Wizard Podcast is going to be down there. We're definitely bumping into them. If you're going to be down there, look for us. We'll be walking around, so pull up and say, hey. Cannot wait to get back to the home turf.
Yes.
I mean, that is something Pat and myself have been... How many years now we've been going?
3 or 4 years, something like that.
I think this is number 7 for me. This is number 4 for you.
For me.
For Bry Guy, it's number 3. And for John and Breon, it is number 2.
Yep.
So the whole ODPH street team is going to be down there too. It's going to be such a fun time. New York Comic Con is the best. I cannot go on and on.
Lost in Space will be there, so I'm a very excited man.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be doing press down there too, Brian and myself. So it's going to be a really fun time down there. So I am excited.
Yeah.
Definitely more to come. So stay tuned to OchoDuroParlayHour.com for more information on that. And as soon as we figure out what we're doing, we're definitely going to be posting it on all our social media. And I mean, shout out to 8122 Productions too. They're taking off for Sci-Fi and Horror Fest the same week up in Oneonta. So definitely check them out, and Scaricon as well. All that information is on 8122productions.com. Stay tuned for that, and obviously stay tuned to OchoDuroParlayHour.com for more information on what the whole hashtag 607 podcast group is doing, because we have a very busy big 2 months coming.
Yeah, a little bit.
Absolutely. The music you heard on this episode is that of Crimson Brethren. Crimson Brethren is now Floodlands. We are going to be having a special album release episode for them in the upcoming weeks.
Ooh.
Their album CSRN is coming out September 21st, so Jimmy and Tom is going to be coming into the studio and talking about that, playing the new music. In fact, we might be switching up the theme music for this show. So stay tuned for that, because it's going to be some interesting discussion going on about that. But we're leaning that, so definitely let us know. Hit us up on the hashtag if you want us to switch up the theme or not. We are going to have a lot to discuss on that episode, and we have a lot to discuss, as always, here on the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. Because that's all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.